Grazie. It's a pleasure to be here. Like you mentioned, I last joined this forum in 2005. Some of you may remember that year. Armed conflict was roiling Afghanistan and Iraq. Terrorists carried out horrific bombings in London, Sharm el-Sheikh, and Amman. A devastating earthquake hit Kashmir, and a hurricane thrashed New Orleans. I never imagined I'd look back on those days and think those were simpler times. And yet, today we come together in a moment of profound uncertainty. It seems like everywhere we turn, we're met with something worse. Conflicts raging, climate changing, disruptive technologies emerging faster than even their creators can understand, economies struggling to provide opportunity for rising generations. And all of this against a backdrop of deep and divisive mistrust. Of course, trust in leaders and governments has been declining for years. But today, we are seeing something far more alarming: a loss of faith in the rules and moral standards meant to govern our world. Many of those global rules and standards were forged in response to brutal wars and bloodshed here in Europe. From the United Nations to the International Court of Justice to the UN Declaration of Human Rights, the world came together to establish norms for a future better than its past, a future based on the values of the UN Charter: peace, justice, and human rights. This global system remains a work in progress, but for people to trust in the enterprise, they need to believe in its integrity. And right now, for much of the global public, that integrity is in shreds. Looking at Israel's war in Gaza, they see a glaring double standard, or worse yet, a seeming abdication of any standards at all. The events of the past year are known to us all. On October 7th, Israel was attacked by Hamas, a violent escalation that shocked the world. 1,200 people were killed, more than 250 taken hostage. As the international community has affirmed, Israelis, like all peoples, have the right to live in peace and security. Since that time, Israel has responded by taking its blockade of Gaza to new inhumane levels and pummeling it with devastating force. The Gaza Strip, an area barely a third the size of Rome, has been hit with an estimated 70,000 bombs. That's more than all the bombs dropped on London, Hamburg, and Dresden throughout all of World War II. Over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed, the majority women and children. Nearly 100,000 more have been injured. This war has produced the largest cohort of child amputees in history. Doctors describe the horror of amputating on children too young to walk. According to Save the Children, over 20,000 children are estimated to be lost, detained, buried under the rubble, or in mass graves. Israel has put almost 90% of the Gaza Strip under evacuation orders, while repeatedly targeting areas it had declared to be safe. Nearly the entire population has been displaced at least once. Almost the entire population is facing acute food insecurity. Israel restricts and obstructs access to humanitarian aid while Palestinian children starve. It has been nearly 8 months since the International Court of Justice, the world's highest court, determined it was plausible that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. And it has been 10 days since Israel launched a wide-scale military assault on the West Bank, inflicting further destruction and displacement on Palestinians living far from the Gaza Strip. For decades, beginning before last October, Palestinians have been subjected to a crushing criminal occupation. Palestinians too have the right to live in security and peace. And yet, here we are, still. Unimaginable civilian suffering is being normalized every day. But I ask you, try to imagine what it must be like to not be gathering here beside beautiful Lake Como, but to be a parent in Gaza. You've lost your home. And I don't just mean your house, but the photo albums, the well-worn armchair, your child's favorite blanket and first toy, everything that is familiar and comforting to you. You've moved your family again and again, so many times you've lost count. And yet, nowhere is safe. You've buried a child, another has lost a leg and half their weight. Your whole family is starving. You look toward the future and see a bleak horizon. No hospitals, no schools, not a single university still standing. Almost every neighborhood is wreckage and rubble and ruin. You spend your days waiting for meager food rations, for a ceasefire that never comes, for your turn to die. In the midst of a crisis, it can be difficult to see beyond it, but that is what this pivotal moment demands. Last year, the Washington Post columnist Karen Attiya wrote, "The last time millions of people were targeted and trapped based on their identity, the world said, never again." What is the world saying now? I ask you, would any Western population be expected to tolerate decades of occupation, oppression, and violence? Yet in Palestine, this injustice has been rationalized and allowed to go on in full view of the global community. Is the world saying that Israel's security is more important than anyone else's, and therefore nothing is off limits in its pursuit, that no level of Palestinian suffering is too high a price to pay? This devaluation of life must be called out what it is: anti-Palestinian racism. And if never again singles out some based on identity, then that promise has been broken. This failure cannot stand. The international community must ask and answer, what next? And then it must act. The bloodshed must stop, but that's not enough. We must blaze a better path, one wide enough for everyone to walk. And I call on our friends here in Europe to play a prominent active role, to weigh their responses to this conflict against long espoused European values. For years, Europe has positioned itself as a champion of international law and human rights, earning a goodwill, respect, and soft power around the world. Yet, what is the global South supposed to think when they see the West stand up for the people of Ukraine while leaving innocent civilians in Gaza to unprecedented collective punishment? What are they to think when global leaders express outrage at airstrikes on foreign humanitarian workers, but not on the desperate Palestinians those same aid workers are trying to support? What are they to think when the ICJ's advisory opinion that Israel's occupation is illegal is ignored by some and dismissed by others, even as Gaza's displaced children are being bombed in tents or killed by Israeli bullets to the head? What conclusions are people to draw about who matters, who doesn't, and why? More than hypocritical, the double standard is dehumanizing. It is cruel. And if it isn't racist, I don't know what is. It sends the message that many powerful nations see some people as less than. And it suggests that the global community is sanctioning a world, to borrow the words of ICC Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan, of grab what you can, do what you want, take what you will. Coming to you from the Middle East, I can tell you this is the world many in my region see today. And that is a very dangerous world. Because when international humanitarian law is applied selectively, when UN resolutions are discounted, when international courts are bullied and belittled, we have entered a new era of global disorder in which none of us are truly safe. Will the global community course correct or continue to edge toward chaos? What next? The people of the world deserve a global system they can trust, free of prejudice, moral loopholes, and deadly blind spots. And trust in that system has become intrinsically tied to the fate of the Palestinian people. That's why rejecting double standards, demanding accountability, and finding a common path to peace are necessary to create the future Palestinians, Israelis, and all of us deserve. This is no simple task. After all, failed peace talks have been a recurrent feature of this conflict, and the lasting resolution has never felt farther away. But we cannot resign ourselves to an intolerable reality. If we are to forge a just, sustainable peace that honors both people's rights and aspirations, we need to start from a shared foundation, one that rests on a number of basic principles we can all agree on and adhere to. Our vantage points may vary, so let us begin with the common ground. 5 indisputable principles that should underpin all genuine enterprises for peace. First, international law must prevail without exception. It's human nature to let emotions color our judgment, but the law is reason without passion, and its application is guided by evidence, not emotion. And I'll be honest, I'm not neutral. I'd guess none of us truly are, no matter how hard we try. That's why we need the law. We will never resolve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, which inflames passions across generations and borders, unless we anchor the effort in a bedrock of impartiality. And while compromise is key to any peace process, international law must set the floor. That means enforcing legally binding UN security resolutions and respecting the opinions and rulings of international courts, even when they're politically inconvenient. Second, autonomy, dignity, and human rights are universal and unconditional. The right to self-determination, to equality, to freedom from persecution and discriminations. These are human rights. They do not need to be earned, and they are non-negotiable, irrespective of how much global influence, political leverage, or military power one side might have. Peace cannot be created by strong-arming a weaker party into unequal terms. Palestinians and Israelis have an equal right to security and self-determination. A number of European countries have acknowledged this by recognizing a Palestinian state. I hope that more countries in Europe and elsewhere will do the same. Third, for justice to prevail, there must be accountability. In a just global society, individuals, institutions, and nations are guided by the knowledge that they are answerable for their actions, that checks to their power will be enforced, and any wrongdoing will be met with repercussions. Without equally enforced accountability, justice is impossible. Trust erodes, the entire system falls out of balance. In Gaza, we see the catastrophic consequences of that imbalance. A powerful nation creating conditions of mass hunger and displacement, facing little pushback. The flip side of accountability is impunity, and a sense of impunity doesn't develop overnight. For the past 57 years, Israel has not only sustained but entrenched its illegal occupation of Palestinian territory through an ever-growing network of settlements. The international community has been vocal in its rejection of this, but words are not enough. Condemnation is an expression of ideals, not policy. To achieve justice, we must bridge the gap between principle and practice. Ultimately, without accountability, talk of international law, of justice, and of human rights is reduced to hollow rhetoric. Fourth, true security is not zero-sum. A just peace makes security mutual. The late Shimon Peres was a long-time participant in this forum. Listen to what he had to say in a speech a decade ago. Israel will not have permanent security without peace. Israel will be giving up its future if it sees the status quo as its desire. End quote. For decades, Israel has sought to ensure its citizens' safety by denying Palestinians the right to the same. But that route is unsustainable. It has brutalized Palestinians and failed to keep Israelis safe. Neither side's insecurity serves the other. It only perpetuates the problem, an endless cycle of repression, resentment, and retaliation. Only a just peace can break that cycle. My fifth point is a simple one. Voices on the very extreme must be blocked from the conversation. The future cannot be held hostage to those who advocate for mass starvation, extermination, and expulsion, who applaud collective punishment, who defend the indefensible. They must be called out and shut down. Because incitement against an entire population is not an exercise of free speech. It is a vile breach of decent human conduct. For my part, I have no illusion that restoring hope for peace will be easy. The points of contention are many, but surely these are 5 principles we all know to be true. That upholding the law is a must, not a maybe. That human rights are not open to negotiation. That without accountability, injustice is not only sustained, it is normalized. That peace, real, lasting, life-affirming peace, is key to security. And that extreme voices cannot be allowed to dictate the conversation. We cannot go back to the days before this war. As we ask, what next? The answer cannot be more of the same. Europe can help promote a better way forward, one in which our international system yields fairness, not favoritism, where mutable ideas outweigh short-term interests, and where all stakeholders are more concerned with the human cost of war than the political cost of peace. Imagine reaping the benefits of that future. Imagine being a parent in that Palestine, in that Israel. No empty stomachs or empty seats at the table. No crippling sense of uncertainty. No reason for animosity between two peoples living side by side in the holy light of peace. In the words of Palestinian-American poet Naomi Shihab Nye, it's late, but everything comes next. Thank you all very much.
Yes, things and times we deal with you. You see, we have to go back and remind others that this situation still exists. And also that this situation can come to Africa. This situation really is in Africa, but it's not being amplified. You know, the West takes what they want, misuse our children, misuse the land to get coltan and different resources that they would like to have for nuclear energy and whatever, you know, because sometimes it's not just the energy, it's just the luxuries. But what is human rights? Question. International human rights. What is racism? Is it just the children of the slaves in the diaspora? It's international. What is the United Nations? Does it work for the human family of this earth? They choose their moments and they choose their people, whoever. What is Ukraine? Is that a proxy war? What is it that that word they use? Where is all these hundreds and millions and billions coming from? Why is it so essential for the Western nations to back that up? Not to prohibit that from escalating, and in the first place, from starting. Why do they all invest in that, thinking that they're bringing Russia down? And then they use the word Putin. Hey, Putin is not Russia. He's the president. What is that? We've been in a time of pure human disaster. and then African peoples in the diaspora, especially the United States, is saying that Gaza has nothing to do with them. But at home, you don't know what is to do with you. So I'm taking you home now. I'm dip on a beating stick, right? Melika Shabazz, come here.
While it is true that Malcolm encountered several leading members of state and influential ministers who had extended offers to host him and his family in their countries, as well as providing financial security, Malcolm remained ever so committed to the plight of 20 million African Americans who were still being oppressed and marginalized in the so-called land of the free and the home of the brave. Thus he forfeited many lucrative opportunities to enrich himself and evade further threats to his security in favor of returning to the United States and continuing his work as an advocate for his people. Not long after that, Malcolm began to forge a new alliance with Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and publicly began declaring his plans to take the American government to court. Malcolm's strategic thinking and relentless drive made him the foremost and most feared opponent of the American establishment in 1964, when he became the very first prominent American to openly attack and criticize America's violent foreign policies in Southern Asia and its criminal acts against the Vietnamese during the war in 1964. Malcolm set pace for many others to raise similar concerns and follow his example. His fearless and direct criticism of America's duplicitous and hypocritical policies highlighted many inconvenient truths for many of his fellow black Americans who were considered good enough to sacrifice themselves serving in the military, but not good enough to sit next to a white person on a bus. However, Malcolm's critique was not reserved for the American government alone. In his now more inclusive role as an advocate for international justice, Malcolm also began campaigning for the Palestinians and had even gone as far as traveling to Gaza and personally meeting with the leaders of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, exchanging ideas about the mutual plight of the African Americans and that of the Palestinians, who had also been subject to ghetto-like conditions in their own land. Malcolm's direct interaction with the leading members of Palestine's PLO in Gaza resulted in the publication of an essay in the Egyptian Gazette on September 17, 1964, which he entitled Zionist Logic. Malcolm sought to create allies in all parts of the world and advocated even for the rights of the oppressed minorities in places as far off as Mongolia. His light was shining bright across 4 continents, and he was sending tremors of fear within the American administration. Malcolm was a man who had been accepted everywhere else, but not in his own country. His plans and growing connections to leading liberation movements and organizations in Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and South America caused much concern for the United States.
I had gotten an invitation to visit Paris from the Afro-American community in Paris, which was sponsoring a rally in conjunction with the African community. When I got to Paris, the man said I couldn't come in. Some man, French man. They gave me no explanation other than to say, we have our orders. They wouldn't let me phone the American embassy, and they tried to imply that the American embassy was behind it, which I told them that I didn't know that France was a satellite of the United States. Well, this made them angry because they like to be independent, you know, or pretend to be independent. They were taking their orders from someone as high up in the French foreign ministry who did not want me to enter France, and there's a reason for it. I don't blame them. And I told them while I was there that maybe my plane got mixed up and I was in South Africa in the wrong country. I told them this couldn't be Paris, it must be Johannesburg. There's a large, increasing number of dark-skinned people swelling the dark population of France and Britain, and it's giving them a great deal of cause for worry. No effort has been made to unite the Afro-American community or the American Negro community with the West Indian community, and then those 2 communities with the African community, and those communities with the Asian community. This has never been done. And this frightened many interests in this country. Many people in this country who want to see us the minority and who don't want to see us taking too militant or too uncompromising a stand are absolutely against the successful regrouping or organizing of any faction in this country whose thought and whose thinking pattern is international rather than national. And then if this man over here plays too rough, we got some brothers who can play as rough as he. There's a worldwide revolution going on. It goes beyond Mississippi. It goes beyond Alabama. It goes beyond Harlem. What is it revolting against? The power structure. The American power structure? No. The French power structure? No. The English power structure? No. Then what power structure? An international Western power structure. So our next move is to take the entire civil rights struggle into the United Nations and let the world see that Uncle Sam is guilty of violating the human rights of 22 million Afro-Americans and still has the audacity or the nerve to stand up and represent himself as the leader of the free world. There'll be a hot time in the old town. With regret, with great regret. Now, I am well aware of what I'm setting in motion by what I'm saying up here tonight. I'm well aware, but I have never said or done anything in my life that I wasn't prepared to suffer the consequences for.
Have we learned, because he's Muslim, we say we didn't understand. Come again, sir. Al-Haji Malik al-Shabazz.
Today our people can see that we're faced with a government conspiracy. This government has failed us. The senators who are filibustering concerning your and my rights, that's the government. Don't say it's Southern senators, this is the government. This is a government filibuster. It's not a segregationist filibuster. It's a government filibuster. Any kind of activity that takes place on the floor of the Congress or the Senate, that's the government. Any kind of dilly-dallying, that's the government. Any kind of pussyfooting, that's the government. Any kind of act that's designed to delay or deprive you and me right now of getting full rights, that's the government that's responsible. And anytime you find the government involved in a conspiracy to violate the citizenship or the civil rights of a people, then you are wasting your time going to that government expecting redress. Instead, you have to take that government to the world court and accuse it of genocide and all of the other crimes that it is guilty of today. So those of us whose political and economic and social philosophy is black nationalism have become involved in the civil rights struggle. We have injected ourselves into the civil rights struggle, and we intend to expand it from the level of civil rights to the level of human rights. As long as you fight it on the level of civil rights, you're under Uncle Sam's jurisdiction. You're going to his court expecting him to correct the problem. He created the problem. He's the criminal. You don't take your case to the criminal, you take your criminal to court.
And that was a voice, loud and clear and analytical. We were fighting to keep from hearing that voice. It was the voice of Big Bad Malcolm X, who had both the national and the international message.
One of the reasons that it is bad for us to continue to just refer to ourselves as so-called Negro, that's negative. When we say so-called Negro, that's pointing out what we aren't, but it isn't telling us what we are. We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not Americans. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America.
I met him first in 1958. I know him from that period until his death. And
Yes, some of you over there in the US, you need to listen carefully and take the cobwebs, take the wax out of your ears and close your mouth and let this digest properly. Because you're not Indians. None of us were Indians. And you're insulting our people. We're Africans, kidnapped by the Puritans and bought all across the world. North America, the Caribbean, and South America. Okay.
Called Negro that's pointing out what we aren't, but it isn't telling us what we are. We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America.
I met him first in 1958. I know him from that period until his death, and sometimes saw him on a daily basis. I would furnish information on history and background information. I never told Malcolm X what to do, and I don't remember anybody else who told him what to do either.
They have studied the tactics and the strategy and the methods of all of the African nations who have emerged and won their independence. And they've seen that the Africans didn't get it by sitting in. They didn't get it by waiting in. They didn't get it by singing "We Shall Overcome." They got it through nationalism.
I first met Malcolm at the World's Trade Show building. Looked me up and down and said, "I bet you're a swine eater." I'll admit that I had paid some joyful visits to pork chops and other parts of the pig. And I said that, you know, Malcolm, if it wasn't for the pig, you and I wouldn't be here arguing about the pig, because some of us would be gone. We would have starved to death. Many times when Malcolm X was prefacing his speeches with the words, "The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us," Malcolm X was teaching Malcolm X lessons over and beyond anything the Honorable Elijah Muhammad ever thought about.
You say we are on the road now to a better world because the white man promised integration. This is a disgrace.
Mr. Muhammad's analysis is that until the image of the black man in the mind of the black man has been changed, you will always have delinquency, parental as well as juvenile. So his entire approach is not so much to change the attitude of the white man toward the black man, but to change the attitude of the black man about himself.
The Arabs and certain powerful groups within Islam really wanted Malcolm on their side. There was a serious attempt to persuade Malcolm to turn on Elijah Muhammad and establish a second Islamic group based on what they considered to be Orthodox Islam. They offered him $3.5 million. He turned it down, and we were walking down the street toward his car, and this man had turned down $3.5 million. And he whacked me on the shoulder and says, "Swine eater, let me buy you a cup of coffee." He was more loyal to Elijah Muhammad than Elijah Muhammad eventually was to him. Elijah Muhammad was getting old and feeble, and there was suspicion that Malcolm X would be the logical successor. There were those within the nation who didn't want Malcolm X as the logical successor because Malcolm X would have done some serious house cleaning. He was an honest man, and there were some thieves in the house. I think his development as a Pan-Africanist came a little later in his life. In the final analysis, he was as good a Pan-Africanist as any of the rest.
We have to have the type of understanding of Africa and the type of understanding of our people here in order to build a bridge, a contact, a line of communication between the two. And once the lines of communication have been established, and our African brothers can stretch forth their hands and reach us, and we can stretch forth our hands and reach them, why, there's nothing that this blue-eyed man in this country will be able to do to you and me successfully from that day onward.
Malcolm X had laid down a threat to the colonial powers of the world.
It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and to the Ghanaians.
I do not think Malcolm X's murder was a local American thing. I think it was a larger thing than that. I do not think that Farrakhan had anything directly to do with the murder, but I do think Farrakhan is guilty of creating the attitude and the atmosphere that led to the murder. Without Farrakhan, Malcolm X, I think, still would have been assassinated. We were friends from the day we met until his death. When I got the word of his death, I was in Connecticut and going up to make a speech in Connecticut, and I was at the Jewish home. Someone announced that he died, and then someone added, dismissing the whole thing, that after all, he was anti-Semitic. I know the man well enough to know that he really didn't hate anybody. He hated certain things people did. He wasn't a hater at all, and they spoke as though they had the right to tell us who should and should not be our hero. I went into that bathroom, and it was after dinner, and just cried like a child for 15 minutes. And I came out partly composed and made the speech that night I was asked to make, and came on home and began to try to deal with the reality of the situation. Because to me, Malcolm X was not gone, and he's still not gone in my imagination. The whole year after his death, I almost got the feeling that we were having our usual conversation. I was always in it. What can I do? And finally, I got the feeling that he had said, do your best work. I was a good teacher before that. I was a better teacher and a better human being after that, because I knew that being a good classroom teacher was my best work.
We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary. We have to have the type of understanding of Africa and the type of understanding of our people here in order to build a bridge, a contact, a line of communication between the two. And once the lines of communication have been established, and our African brothers can stretch forth their hands and reach us, and we can stretch forth our hands and reach them, why, there's nothing that this blue-eyed man in this country will be able to do to you and me successfully from that day onward.
Malcolm X had laid down a threat to the colonial powers of the world.
It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and to the Ghanaians.
I do not think Malcolm X's murder was a local American thing. I think it was a larger thing than that. I do not think that Farrakhan had anything directly to do with the murder, but I do think Farrakhan is guilty of creating the attitude and the atmosphere that led to the murder. Without Farrakhan, Malcolm X, I think, still would have been assassinated. We were friends from the day we met until his death. When I got the word of his death, I was in Connecticut. I'd gone up to make a speech in Connecticut, and I was at a Jewish home. Someone announced that he died, and then someone added, dismissing the whole thing, that after all, he was anti-Semitic. I know the man well enough to know that he really didn't hate anybody. He hated certain things people did. He wasn't a hater at all, and they spoke as though they had the right to tell us who should and should not be our hero. I went into that bathroom, and it was after dinner, and just cried like a child for 15 minutes. And I came out partly composed and made the speech that night I was asked to make, and came on home and began to try to deal with the reality of the situation. Because to me, Malcolm X was not gone, and he's still not gone in my imagination. The whole year after his death, I almost got the feeling that we were having our usual conversation. I was always in it. What can I do? And finally, I got the feeling that he had said, do your best work. I was a good teacher before that. I was a better teacher and a better human being after that, because I knew that being a good classroom teacher was my best work.
Yes, Malika Shabazz, I tell you, things and times, we're there with you. We are sending special request to Yard. Come abroad.
Girl, don't tell me that you're not computer literate, that you don't know how to use the internet. Don't tell me that you're not on Facebook and that the Girl, don't tell me that you're not computer literate, that you don't know how to use the internet. Don't tell me that you're not on Facebook, and that the world don't know how your beautiful face look. Girl, the world is at your fingertips. Don't tell me that you don't know how Mitzi order her skirts, her blouse, and her knicks. Girl, your chance is poor if you can't use online stores. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. Girl, I'm so happy that we met. I want you and I to be intimate. I want to go on your internet, my tube and your space, make a beautiful race around the place. Girl, Google, girl, I can make you feel more merry than owning a BlackBerry. I can make you feel more high than owning an iPhone. I can make your voice alone come through my phone. Girl, Google, and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. Only scientists alone want to live in smart homes, but girl, I'm so happy that you can use smartphones. Take a picture yourself and send it to me now, make me see how you look at work. If you don't want to take it in front of everyone, just go to the bathroom and take it in front of the glass, because nobody can work at them two blouse and skirt fast. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. You can't be a fool, you have to know where you're going in the earth. Yeah, even though you're far away, girl, I know how to use Google Earth. Girl, take a picture yourself and send it to me now. Let me see how you look fitting in your blouse and skirt. Me say me got some girlfriends so witty, but girl, I know that you're wittier. I know that you know how to use Twitter. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Girl, Google and see if you find yourself a driver drop top Benz with a poodle. I'm not talking noodles, it's the future. Every cyber girl want a cyberman, so them have a cyber plan. Girl, don't tell me that you're not on Facebook, and that the world don't know how your beautiful face look. The world is at your fingertips. Don't tell me that you don't know how Mitzi order her skirts, her blouse, and her knicks. Girl, your chance is poor if you can't use online stores. Girl, Google.
Yes, Google, no? Them flash girls, them, man. Come here. Teach this youth here.
Forward.
Sister Kalenda,
Rastafari come.
Mr. Reese, Andy,
And everything come.
fire,
This is for respect.
I have your big
Rastaman order.
ancient of days, yeah.
Forward.
Listen,
Sister
listen.
Kalenda,
Rastafari come.
Mr. Reese, Andy,
And everything come.
fire,
This is for respect.
I have your big
Rastaman order.
ancient of days,
This is
yeah.
for respect. When I am in the order.
Fire
This
blaze,
is for respect. When I am in the order.
coming from His Majesty,
This is for respect.
Mr. Horace Andy.
Order.
Teach them, teach them.
What?
It was laid on by the elders a long time ago. Martin Planner and Prince Emmanuel, Brother Skip from Tonga Dongo, and Brother Sam Brown, and enough more elders. They all make up the order.
Black people original order.
The younger generation, they now follow. At the original order, them a make up for them order, which is so out of order. Respect the Rastaman order. Respect the Nyabingi order. We say for respect the Nyabingi order. It's the foundation for the nation. Respect the Rastaman order. Fire burn!
What's ya? Cause the fire happy bless. Me all of the heights and captains. Me no coward like lion me brave. Black man people them are no slave. You got to know that you're from Africa. After that cover on Africa. Let them know this a one of the poorest. Tell them the marijuana.
Respect the Rastaman order.
Foundation.
Respect the Nyabingi order. We say for respect the Rastaman order. We say for respect the Nyabingi order.
I say you got to respect it. Youth man have a little reference. Black culture should be your preference. No corruption, no go to heaven. Try you know you're blocking, not that me tell them. Now you've been the order of the throne room.
It was laid down by the elders a long time ago. Martin Planner and Prince Emmanuel, Brother Skip from Dangadongo, and Brother Sam Brown, enough more elders. They all make up the order. The younger generation did not follow at the original order. Them a make up for them order, which is so out of order. Respect the Rastaman order. Respect the Nyabingi order.
Babylon system of
respect the Nyabingi order.
Rastafari have them as footstool.
Respect the Rastaman order.
King Selassie, I live again. Future, from the past to the future. Fire burn.
Respect the Nyabingi order.
You got to know yourself.
Respect the Nyabingi order.
Yeah.
Respect the Rastaman order. We say for respect the Nyabingi order.
Teasing times, man. I tell you, respect the order, see? Jump around. See, I look something. Hush, hush, hush. So we're going on. Serious thing. So we give you Palestine, our families, and we'll give you Malakay Shabazz true to your election and stupid conversations. And we'll give you Nyabingi. And we'll give you internet. Yeah, man, we'll give you internet. And we'll give you the Nyabingi order. Respect Rasta. You see? See, I run about serious thing. Some of you people get set up. Some of you people are gullible. It's a shame. Serious thing. So, all this, man.
I can't take it, I can't stand it no longer. The pressure is getting stronger, stronger and stronger. Oh yeah, I'm a victim of society, coming from the poor man family. I'm a victim See some of them try to decide it, but that you know set them up a long time to wait. If they think they could see I and I dirty folly, I wouldn't do that. Oh no, I wouldn't do that. Oh no, but I'm a victim of society.
See, so all the money that them send to Ukraine and everything, and all the money that them send to bomb up and mash up and kill the people of Gaza. How much dollars them give the African American and the black American and the native Indian black American? Nothing. And you all are talking and talking foolishness. Yeah? Billions have gone over to the Ukraine. Billions go over to what them call Israel. Yeah? And the Senate, both houses, don't argue. They don't filibuster and re. Them just sign the paper before the people them even request them set money aside for them, both of them. And the Israel money is being there. Just like that. Every quarter, throughout the year. And the years. You talk over 70 years. And when I go on like say when I know the Republican and the Democrat, you know nothing. What you're supposed to know is ourselves. We're supposed to be resourceful to ourselves. And all the time that people that use them brain and speculating and all kind of nonsense, nothing factual, supposed to spend that time reasoning with each other. And now you're there upon internet, reason wide with each other. And develop solutions across the state. And respond to the laws, the bylaws of each state where we are in numbers. And develop some infrastructure in the communities and remove all vices out of those areas. You can't tell me, say, when I don't have carpenters and plumbers and star. And then when I can go buy so much stupid cars and fix them up and bump them and all kind of nonsense, you're not thinking, not responding, not understanding the principles of love and the principles of self-development. See? And then you have people that said about them a teacher. Nah, them like they like the titles, you know. This one same as scientist, them because it's a big title. Stop it, man. Unless you know science and you've done some, you've worked and you're laboratory technician and different things and so forth, rest your mouth. You see? And if the other one say me a teacher and them can't teach, rest your mouth. You understand? You just make us sound ridiculous and look ridiculous. Serious thing. Millions them give out. Billions, not millions, them give out. And you all are the slaves. And the ancestors helped build that nation. And fed it. Built the infrastructure. Built the roadways. The trainways, the tramways and the trainways. But you're first on the plantation. You nourish the nation. And you close the nation, cotton. Star. I know you want to take jokes out of the Caribbean peoples. And then you want to say that you all are Indians. You're nothing to do with Africa. that was established because of the reparation, the amount of leadway that people that we are making, and the fact that we're unifying ourselves globally and not letting them pick us off one off here, there, and everywhere. And the legal teams that's been established. But here come you young people without thought and ignorant. And you say we're not African. So where we come from? Where we come from? And since you don't want to be African, yo, keep saying it and see if God don't make sure your meneling don't work. You see that texture you have there? You see what happens. Keep run up your gums and see what happens. When it don't work, blame yourselves. So I say, hey, I'm looking at job. You have any vacancies?
No vacancy, no vacancy.
I ask you a question, man. May I look at job? You have any vacancies?
No vacancy, no vacancy. You can't get no job. No vacancy. I wake up in the morning, I make a early track sing. I drop me gone seeking. The youth them need feeding. Everywhere you go it's no vacancy. They must see want me commit robbery. Everywhere you go it's no vacancy. Tell me how me I go feed me pick me. I no try, me no try, but I just can't get a blind. Applying to the factory, I'm on clothes look so shabby, and other people just watch me. Everywhere you go it's no vacancy. They must see want me commit to robbery. Everywhere you go it's no vacancy. Tell me how me I go feel me pick me. Woy woy, no vacancy. No vacancy. Especially if you are naughty. Woy I can't see the boss. Not even big man I can't pass. Apply it to the factory. I'm on clothes look so shabby. No vacancy.
See? So what kind of cooperation when I develop? You see? What? You see? Because when I can't imply one another and so forth, and I talk rubbish and keep calling myself that degraded name. You understand? And then that other degraded if mother something. See? So there's no, hey, the people them that left the plantation long time, the owners them, them realize say whatever they put in place, you understand, in a psychic, it's still a work. So they don't leave them nothing to do. You understand? Because you do their wishes. And even more. Because when a person can turn upon themselves and disrespect themselves and disrespect the wound that bore them and continue up the chain, total disrespect, and when I feel say, yeah, when I, you understand? Listen, it's dishonorable. No form of respect. No form of respect. Seriously. And I know what the word mean. Hey, yo, and back then in the day, that word was big. You understand? The word, with the tune, James, black and beautiful and respect. Big title star. For years. You understand? And now you people them come and put the thing on the ground and walk on top it. Ridiculous. Guidance, you're gone.
What's happening? I wanna know now. What's going on amongst my people? Oh yes. Every man wants, but no one wants to give. So tell me how the people I live. Every man wants, but no man wants to give. So how the hell are the people I go live? Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. It costs the people to live in sin. Nothing from nothing that leaves nothing. That's why.
Yo, we are going to church. Come here. Hey, boy. Yes, listen good, listen carefully. Spread the word, man. Speak to your woman, yeah? Your queen. Speak nice to her. And your mother. Say, yes, man. Be kind and don't use those derogatory words. You understand? Listen, show some humility. Trust me, man. Oh, gosh, man. And then ask yourself, what did you actually do in your community? Did they help clean it up? They sit down and reason with people on how I go put $5, $10 together every week and get to a figure to do certain things? Come on, man. Seriously. You see your school? If your school was linked to the community, you're not beg nothing. Because the people see the value of that. And they see the sincerity. And plus, they would able to conclude if you're a trustworthy body of people and so on and so on and on. So the people in the community that look like us, you understand? They would genuinely support that in a big way because what? That's what is required. You understand? Education, right? So eventually what would happen now is the elders, right? You have certain forums and you help the elders them understand how to do the administration for the social politics and everything. And help them along. You understand? And so on. See it? But the fullness is that the people that would trust honor. You understand? And the school will suffice itself, support itself through the community as well. You understand? So it won't be something that people, you have to labor about and beg people for give more than $10 on PayPal and everything. Cause somebody gave $5, it's $5, but what you going to do? You understand? You need another 10 persons, right, with a $5 too, right? You understand? So it's not that I'm saying $5 is not adequate. You understand? What I'm saying is the people that see that when are genuine and they trust what you all are doing and you be so transparent. But nah, up there costs and everything and adult people say that, listen to that and everything and think like, wow. And then you use the word education and school, they say nah. Another fraudulent group, just like the man that's supposed to open a school all 5 years and plus, and telling some bare-faced lie every time. You understand? Seriously. Now this election when I want to run up with them out about something and about everybody and instead of spend time I talk about who I go do, what you've been doing, assess and evaluate how far you reached. Was it successful? Do we need different angles? What? Crazy. And then when I play this game about pseudos, this and that, right? So y'all are getting thrills, little kicks, your babies, man, children. Stop it, man. Not adulthood. No sense of maturity.
What's happening?
Guidance.
I wanna know now. What's going on amongst my people? Oh yes. Every man wants, but no one wants So tell me how the people are gonna live. Every man wants what no man wants to give. So how the hell the people are gonna live? Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. It costs the people to live in sin. Nothing from nothing that leaves nothing. That's why my brethren are living in the sin. It's like a crab in a barrel. Everyone want to reach the top. So you make a move, so you make a move. The other one does a hold you back. Every man wants what no man wants to give. So tell me how we really are gonna live. Every man wants what no man wants to give. So how the hell do people are gonna live? What happened to those days when I would never appear? And I would gladly share it with our virgin over there. What's going on amongst my people? Why are there so much division? What's going on amongst my people? I really wanna know now. Because every man wants what no man wants to give. So tell me how we really are gonna live. But every man wants what no man wants to give. So how the hell we really are gonna live? We are gonna live. Oh yeah. Sugar powers of the most high. Aye. The righteous and the bad. Boy, yo. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See, every man wants to live big high life, but no one wants to make the sacrifice. Every man a must, no one won't let up. Why is this? I really have to ask. Grab now let go, them a grab now let go. And everything, it down and go slow. Every man wants, but no man wants to give. So tell me how the people are gonna live. Every man wants, but no man wants to give. So how the hell the people are gonna live? We have to live, we have to live. We have to live. Okay. Sugar powers of the most high. The righteous shall abide. Oh yeah, yes. Boy, what's happening to my people? Why?